You're watching another Nerd Stalker interview. We'll go. We'll go into number three here. And if you just tuned in, this is Taffy Williams talking with me, Greg Gloria, aka Social Greg on Twitter. Taffy Williams, the CEO and founder of Colonial TDC, and he's a Examiner.com writer on startups and entrepreneurship. So let's go to number three here. Environmental factors that may affect your business, and I have a quote there I'd like to read to you. The choices you make early in the early selection of location for your business may affect its growth and health in the long term. You may consider these factors and incorporate them in your business plan, or you may elect to consider location shortly after initiation of the business activity. So let's talk about the environmental factors, and any stories around that, Taffy?
Yeah, let's let's talk about a company that I was involved with that was down in Florida. It's in a location that would not be known for medically oriented things. I won't say which part of Florida, but let's say that it was definitely along the shoreline of a very prestigious beach. so, so that's okay. Nice place to visit, nice place to vacation. And when you get ready to go out and hire people to come in, there's nobody there. There's no workforce. so okay, you get a recruiter and you tell the recruiter you want to bring them down, and gee, okay, this is going to be interesting. You do realize you got to pay to move these people, and these are high-priced people. So you're talking about people $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 salaries. We're not talking about small, but you got to move them, right? So they got houses and you got other kinds of stuff. So you're talking about moving expenses. So can you imagine trying to move the top talent in your company to someplace where if the company didn't make it, they had no jobs?
Oh, man.
And then trying to pay for all the expenses and cover their salaries and everything. Part of your design has to be to make sure you've got a talent pool that you can draw from. Now, it's not necessary. If you've got a really great business and a lot of money, you can bring your own talent in. But if you're trying to build a business and raise money, people may not want to give you a lot of funds to move a lot of people to a particular area. And so that's an important aspect. And let's talk about the restaurant business. A local restaurant comes in, and okay, I live in the South. Everything here's fried. Okay, you can't build. You want to build a fresh fish, restaurant locally. People don't know what to do with that. There are some Japanese restaurants that serve sushi, and I love sushi, but down here they sometimes refer to it as bait. Okay, so if you want to build something in an environment, you need to make sure the environment that it is in can support the business that you have, and that there's a real benefit for having it there. And that's all part of your review and research you have to do in order to have a viable business.
Now, do you work on startups in your tech sector that has a lot of distributed teams, meaning that there could be teams in different parts?
Yeah. I've done a lot of virtual and semi-virtual. In fact, I'm looking at a company now that I'm having some serious discussions about being involved, where it would initially start off as a virtual team, spread out, and then would become semi-virtual, and then I don't know what we would do from there, but I've been having discussions, and I'm still trying to decide if that's going to go anywhere, but I may have to take a leadership role there to help pull it together, but I tend to do that quite a lot. And I learned early on, rather than have a completely integrated company, being able to do things on a contract basis allows you to cut one whole segment if the budget gets tight. So, rather than lay people off in your company, you can kill a contract easier.
Yeah.
And rather, you don't have the same emotional aspects of getting rid of friends and people that you work with. So, getting highly experienced people, a small team that can manage the business, and then work do everything else on a contract business, is a great way to start a company.
No, in fact, I worked for a couple of big companies that actually shifted their model towards that. I mean, it wasn't, 50-50, but it was definitely, a high percentage, maybe even 15% of the workforce was contract eventually. And even critical positions, what we deemed critical, like some product management positions were contract, believe it or not. And You know?
If you're raising money and you want to have partnerships with big partners, right? And you live 4 hours from the largest airport.
Yeah.
Think about it. People got to fly in, then they got to drive 4 hours. They better really want to see you before they'll come out there.
Gotta really want to see you.
You've got to travel a lot.
I want to see you, Taffy. I'll drive 4 hours for you.
So I live 30 minutes from an airport. Okay.
Bad example for you.
So.
No, that makes sense. No, anyway, yeah. I think what other environmental factors, besides location, would an entrepreneur look at that may affect?
Well, if you want to open a retail business, and here there's a lot of Mexican restaurants around where I live, and there's one strip mall where there's two Mexican restaurants in the same strip mall. Okay, now how do you pick which one to go to? They're both good. Or if you want to go to a location where you do computer repair and you don't have any drive-by traffic, does that create a problem for you?
Right.
I have a friend who has a computer. He builds my computers for me. I just tell him to give him the specs. I tell him what I want. He does it, and he also repairs them.
Wow.
And I helped him review some locations, but drive-by traffic was very important for him. He got a lot of walk-in business.
Wow.
So ability to have access to customers, talent pool, convenience of travel. I mean, there's a lot that goes into decision. Just and the other thing is that do you want to open, an African restaurant in an area that has no idea what that is? If they don't know what the food is when they come in, and you give an unusual food, would they eat it?
Right.
There are, you have to now grow a clientele because they don't know what the stuff is.
Yeah, no, I've seen some restaurants like that.
Well, it's unfortunate. I go try some of these out. I love the food, and then they're gone in a month. I mean, okay, surprise, surprise.
Right.
There's a local restaurant that started out as more of a southern New Orleans style cooking, and then they later switched over to where they added more fried seafood to the menu. Then all of a sudden they demonstrated enough business to sell it to a seafood company that sells fried food down here.
Okay.
And then there was a Greek restaurant that came in, and then they adjusted their menu. They were able to demonstrate an ability to sell the stuff. And another Greek restaurant came in. They adjusted the menu. Now it's a viable business. There's an ability to adapt and grow your clientele and then sell the business. But those things are all part of the environmental effects of what you have. If you want to have a restaurant and everybody's got to park, and pay versus have free parking, that affects your business.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense.